Columbus-GA or call 877-285-7469.
The Run for Angels at Chicken Coop, February 3rd. 5K, 10K fun run. Fun run 8 a.m. 5K, 10K, 8:30 a.m. Chicken Coop Place, 9:30 a.m. to noon. Drive through or drive in. Newman First United Methodist Church, 33 Greenville Street. Presented by the Kiwanis Club of Newnan. Run for Angels and Chicken Coop, February 3rd. Be there.
The House of Light brings clarity to your soul, offering a safe space for healing through our compassionate practitioners, services, classes, and wisdom, plus the tools to support you in our retail space.
The views and opinions of this show and program are not the views and opinions of this station, its management, or its clientele. It's now time for the House of Light presents The Wisdom Cafe, each and every week at this time on 99.1 FM WQEE. Here's this week's special.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Considered podcast with me, April, your host. Today, I have a special guest. I'm here with my friend, Janice Boscarello. Thank you so much, Janice, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you. I have gotten to know you, and I've gotten to know a little bit about what you do, and I have a lot of admiration for it. But I'm not sure a lot of people know a lot about psychic mediumship and what that is, and we'll get into that. But first, I'd like to know a little bit about your background and how this all came to be. How did you find out that you had these abilities?
So it all started probably way back a long time ago. So as a child, I knew very early on that I had a gift of knowing, is what I call it. So there's a lot of people out there that I know are going through the same thing. So for me, it was way back around 11 or 12 years old when my gifts got really strong as far as seeing the same beautiful soul every night. This one house that we lived in is when it started. So he was, I call him my Civil War buddy, because I know clearly what he looks like, and I could hear him, I could see him. And it's like back then, as a child, I could see him like I'm looking at you. As I've gotten older, they changed a little bit. The veil's a little different, if you will. So learning the energies and not having that fear took a lot for me. So being raised in a different environment, if you will, in a religious environment, it's not something that you talk about. It's not something that you bring up, because at some point they just truly believe you're just having nightmares or you're just having dreams. So that was a little tough as a child, but it clearly was just the knowing of seeing and understanding what was going on. It took a little while. It took me probably about a year of that, just seeing him and then seeing others, and getting that gift started took a long time, actually, because I kind of put it in the closet and didn't understand what was going on. So back in the 60s, it's just something where you just didn't talk about. It just, I didn't have that mentor as we do today, with the massive amount of beautiful mediums that we have out there. John Holland, John Edwards, Lisa Williams. There's so many of them I could just go on that have opened the doors for people like me to be able to have that opportunity to share our gifts with the energies that we have. So being a psychic medium is truly amazing. I say that I'm very honored and very grateful for what I do. But that's where it got started, was back as a child, just learning and knowing things that were different. When the phone would ring, I'd know who it was. I would know when something was going to happen in the town, and just trying to figure out what it was. But I never figured out those emotions and those energies until I was way into my adulthood, that I really knew what was going on.
That must have been really difficult as a child to kind of see things that other people were not perceiving, and share. And if children are so innocent, they'll they just talk about what it is that they're experiencing. And and during those times in the 60s, that was definitely a time that these things were kind of frowned upon, or like you said, it just wasn't discussed. There was a bit of fear around it. It
There's a
is,
lot of fear around it, not understanding it. Also, I think that we get in such a organized religion faith, or
Mhm.
that we don't really understand the spirituality and the faith of it for me.
Right.
So people say that what I do, really and truly, I probably am not a Christian, but I'm such a Christian and such a spiritual person. I could not do what I do if I was not connected with ascended masters and angels and your loved ones.
Yes.
It's so important to me.
Well, the definition of Christianity is so subjective. There's over 43,000 denominations, Christian denominations, and probably each one's will tell you that the other is not, you know.
Right.
And because, it is a subjective, experience for people. And yeah, so the definition, I'm not even sure, like, necessarily that Jesus Yeshua would fit that definition in some ways, because
Right.
he didn't there's a lot of things that are done in the name of religion that he didn't preach. That wasn't part of
No.
his doctrine. And so spirituality, I look at your faith can be based on what someone else tells you, or from what you
Yes.
read, which is fine, but it also can be experiential. And I think that's what we are moving towards in our society, that people want to have actual, real, firsthand experiences for themselves. And this seemed to happen quite organically for you. Do you believe that little children kind of mostly are capable of this before they get conditioned by the world?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that um, for me, it was one of those things where I was definitely not pushed into religion at all. My
Mhm.
whole family was Southern Baptist.
Right.
My best friend's father was a preacher at Church of God, and I was raised in that, and I fully was into that. I was that Sunday school girl. For me, my experience with that was amazing. I loved it. So for me, having that experience, I think I've always had that.
Mhm.
Ascended master faith, whatever you want to call it, on the other side, having my back when
Mhm.
I know that others really didn't understand it. So
Right.
um, for them, it was more of fortune teller, and it was voodoo, it was magic, it was things you shouldn't be
Mhm.
doing
Mhm.
according to this book.
Right.
So for me, I was like, well, no, that's not true, because I know what I'm sensing and feeling from experience as a child, that this is not bad. This is good, you
Mhm.
know. So from a very early age, I knew that it was good. So, but putting it in a closet and putting it away because of the sometimes not so kind people
Yeah.
in the world have
Yeah.
something to say about everything and anything you do. And social media today is really, really challenging
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
for
Yeah,
everyone,
it
not just
is.
psychic mediums. It's for everyone.
For everybody. There's a lot of fear, and I think people are kind of sometimes, I don't like to use the word hateful, but sometimes maybe they disdain things they don't fully understand, or things that make them afraid.
Right.
And and so there's it's not limited to just those that have extrasensory perceptions, or like yourself, that are psychics or mediums or intuitives or empaths. It's the fear is just around what they don't fully understand, or
It's true.
you know. And so I think, that's part of what this podcast is about. It's not about, it's about showcasing what different people's experiences and how they've come to know or believe what they believe to be true. And I think everybody deserves a voice. And I think we can all be, people don't have to agree, but they can certainly learn and try to understand for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I truly believe that. I mean, for me, I always say that I'm an amazing medium, but I'm a fantastic psychic. And for me, I don't know where those abilities came from. They just came, and it's just a knowing as a child. And then you get married, you have children, you move on, and I kind of put it away in the closet for a while.
Yeah, life kind of gets busy and
It does.
involved, and we can only be so many things to so many people.
True.
Yeah, so your career though goes back quite a ways. I've seen some interviews with you going back a good long time about some of the things that you've done in this field. So you're quite established in your work, I've come to learn.
I am. I am. I enjoy it. I truly believe that I was given the gift, but I also know that, as much as you're given, it can be taken too if you don't have integrity and you don't have ethics and you
Right.
don't do what you're supposed to do, whatever you're doing. I
Mhm.
truly believe it can be taken. I
Mhm.
really believe that.
Yes, it
So
has to come from a space of purity and just really wanting to be of
it
service
does.
and loving others. And I think that's what I see in you as a person that really longs to bring comfort and love and reassurance to those that are, have lost loved ones or have questions. And I definitely see you do that. And is that the bulk of your work, would you say, with loved
That
ones?
is that is the bulk of my work. I do life coaching as well, spiritual life coaching. I took an amazing course with James Van Prague. He's such an amazing medium and so well known out there for the TV show Ghost Whispers way back in the day. And he's just an amazing, amazing man to me. And I resonate with him very well. And but for me, it's just, I always say that you can have many, many gifts, but you got to go with what is your goal? What is your life purpose? And
Mhm.
me, I'm a psychic medium. That's it.
Yeah.
I do what I do. And, um, it's for some people and it's not for others. And I
Right.
totally, totally understand that, and I wish everybody well with that. I really do. So I would never push what I do on anybody. So
Right.
I'm not for everybody. So and not everybody's for me. So
Yep.
and I think with everything we do, we just got to be the biggest thing that I get from spirit and the other side is love,
Mm,
forgiveness,
right.
total forgiveness.
Mhm.
Um, but they always say you have to forgive for you, not for them. It's just a big thing of, and I would never tell someone to forgive unless they're ready to forgive. It's their free will, not mine. So
Right.
um, I think the misconception of a psychic medium is um, a lot of people feel that if they're in my presence, that I'm in their energy, and I'm not. I really don't want to be in your energy. It's not my place to be in your energy.
Yeah.
They think because I'm around them, well, you know what I had for breakfast. Well, you should know that. You should know what I did yesterday. And I go, no, I don't. I
No.
don't. That's such a their perception there is so wrong on so many levels. And I've heard so many top mediums talk about that they've lost friendships, they've lost family members because they just truly believe that they're always up in their business because
Mm,
they know things, and that's so not true.
mm.
I have a hard time keeping up my own business
Yeah.
and my own energy. Why would I want to be in someone else's energy?
Right. It's kind of
So
one of
that's
the
one
things.
conception there. Yeah,
So one misconception is that you're in everybody's business, but you're not in, you don't do that unless somebody specifically invites you to
correct.
speak about what's going on with them. If there's a willingness.
Absolutely. If I'm not going to get in your energy, that comes with integrity and ethics for
Mhm.
me. So anybody out there that is learning and wanting to go down this field, don't just walk up to somebody and start talking about what's going on. It's you never know their faith or what they believe in, and you could really harm them or hurt them unless you ask for permission.
Yes, there's even a scripture about that. It says when you're asked for the reason for your hope, answer in gentleness and respect. So asked is a big, that's a big word
Big.
for anybody that does anything in terms of serving mankind. Like don't assume that you know best and, you know,
No,
jump
absolutely
in
not.
there and force anything on anybody. And I love your gentle approach to that. I feel like it's very loving and respectful.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I really love that. So other misconceptions. Well, first of all, let's talk about what is a psychic. Is a psychic and a medium the same thing? Or how do they, I don't understand.
It's so for me, a psychic medium, and I'm sure it can be explained in many different ways.
Mhm.
Um, when I connect on the other side and I'm talking to your loved ones, that's more the mediumship. The
Okay.
psychic part would be um, you're going on a trip and make sure you don't forget your passport, or this is just going to be long lines, or something like that. In the ability of saying. the career choice that you're making, you may want to think about that because you have two options and you're going to get 3 phone calls about this. So really remember to keep your mind open
Mm.
to receiving information that will help you to decide on what career path you want to go on. So it's more of connecting and receiving from loved ones is the mediumship part. The psychic part is just really a total different realm of just knowing things that are going to happen with you. So, and that, and saying that, I think that people that do this need to be very mindful of how they interpret what they say to someone when they're giving them that information.
Mhm.
Because for me, if I'm sitting with someone and I sense fear, or I sense that someone's going to pass, or I sense that they're really going to lose someone they love very much, and I sense and feel that, I'm not going to share that because that just messes with their free will, and that's between them and whatever God they believe in or whatever faith they believe in. So I wouldn't share
Right.
that.
Right.
And it's also like when you pull a card, when a lot of people pull cards and do cards as another tool, you may get the death card. Well, that could be the death of a relationship. That could be death of a job. It could
Hmm.
be death of many things, not necessarily the death of a person, of a
Right.
soul that's here. So you really have to be mindful of how you interpret things and your perception, how you
Mm.
receive and give to others. So psychic mediums, I think that we all have the gift to connect in many different ways. And I always say, go with your gut. With that old expression, go with your gut, go with your gut. That's
Hmm.
not, and it's just something that I feel like proactive. I get the word proactive.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I'll give you an example of knowing that someone is really sick, like they're really sick, and is something going to happen when they end up in the hospital? Let's just use that scenario there. Um, and I get a vision or something that that's going to happen. For me, what I do, receiving that, I will make a phone call, especially if it's someone that I'm connected with, and say, "Hey, listen, how you doing? Well, I'm doing great. So how's your mom doing? Or how's your sister doing? Have you talked to them in a while? I haven't talked to them in 3 months. Why don't you just give them a call and see how they're doing?"
Hmm.
Um, Maybe that can change an outcome of saying, "Well, let's go to the doctor and get checked."
Right. Right. Somehow different
So
trajectory.
sometimes, yes. So um, I'll use this as another example is I'll be talking to a client and I just will be like, how's your husband doing? Spirit just keeps telling me something's going on with your spouse, and I just keep looking at his neck. And just
Mhm.
remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical medium or anything like that. But, if he starts complaining of something, why don't you just, get it checked or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, months later, I get an email saying, Janice, thank God you said what you said in
Mhm.
a very kind way,
Mhm.
because men don't like to go to the doctor and they don't like to get,
Mhm.
and then there's the ones that say I'm perfectly fine with my lost loved ones. I know they're fine. I talk to them and they have that gift of just knowing. They get signs all the time. So now they really want to dig deep and moving forward in the next 10 years or whatever, and career choices and what to do here and what to do there. And
Mhm.
um, so we just sit down and I just focus and just receive whatever. I just, a lot of questions. I say, if this is a more of a, it's really hard for me as a psychic medium to say I'm doing the psychic part and I'm doing the medium part.
Right.
Because when I sit down with someone and they tell me, listen, I prefer not to talk to anyone. I just want you to answer these questions.
Mhm.
Okay. So when I'm answering those questions, I'm in their energy and my energy, and I'm also in the energy of the universe. So when I start talking and it starts receiving and coming, I
Mhm.
truly feel it's coming from love from above. It comes through me, not from me. So,
Right.
and then when I get done, I go, gosh, I hope you had all that because I'm not going to remember a word I just said.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
Because when it's downloading and it's coming,
It's
I
you're a
don't,
conduit.
I can't go back.
Right.
So I
Right.
have to give.
Yeah.
And so if I see you're going to go to Alaska. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You're going to go to Alaska. There's some kind of trip or something going on. Now, listen, you may choose not to do it, but I just see that you're going to go to Alaska because it's something that with your company that they need you to go. Oh, no, they would never send me there. Well,
Hmm.
then I get an email. Guess where I'm going? Alaska.
Right. Right.
you know,
Yeah.
well, and then my next thing would be, well, that's amazing. Do you want to go though? Is this something that you've chosen to do with this career? If it's not, then
Mm.
you make that choice to say, well, I really don't really want to do that anymore. But the company, I really prefer not to have that promotion, so I want to stay back here.
Right.
That's free will.
Right.
I see it, it's coming, but you choose whether you go or not.
Yes. That seems to be a cardinal rule, just
It
really
is.
like throughout in this particular reality that free will is very, very important. So we have choice, once we have
Yes.
information, we have choice. I love that.
I think that, yeah, 99% of what I do is talking to loved ones and angels. That is truly where what people want to know. And especially since this horrible pandemic that's happened to so many people. I've had so many loved ones, including myself, of losing loved ones myself and my family from the
Mhm.
pandemic, uh, and sensing and feeling that, oh gosh, that people missing their family so much and in
Yes.
such a horrible way. I mean, it's horrible no matter what you look at, but with that, there was just so much loss in this world,
Yes.
everywhere, not just our country, everywhere.
I
So,
think it was very
um,
traumatizing. I mean, for everybody, it doesn't matter whether
doesn't matter.
you even got
Doesn't,
COVID, it still was
it doesn't
traumatizing.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was a different world. We've seen a different world. We've
Yeah.
seen a different humanity.
Yeah. There's been a tremendous shift. And I feel like, I think before any birth, things get really rocky and uncomfortable.
Yes.
I think that's kind of where
Yes.
we're at right now. That's just the way I'm looking
Absolutely.
at
I
it.
agree.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not who we were before. And we
Mm-mm.
won't be who we are tomorrow, who we are today.
No.
There's a big shift taking place, and I think some of it's going to be very positive. I think ultimately, from a broader perspective, it'll all be positive. But I think it can be very traumatic. Humans don't like change very much. We don't
No.
we want the predictable, and I think that's what's difficult for some people who are not spiritual to grapple with is the idea that there are things out there that they maybe don't understand. There's no way for them to define it in 3D in the context of the material world, and that's really really tough. Um, what would you say some of about the spirit world? What are some of the big misconceptions that people have about that realm, about those that are in that realm?
Well, first of all, they don't have a human body anymore. A lot of people say, well, what are they doing it? So for me and in my experience only, um, what's the misconception? That they're sad, that they
Okay.
don't forgive you.
Um,
Um, um, you didn't get to say goodbye, and you're thinking that you didn't get to say goodbye. They didn't get to say goodbye, so there was no closure.
mm,
Um, and They are, for me, the way I sense and feel them. They'll give me images of what they look like and information what happened here, just so I can know and validate for you what was going on. However, for me, they're light, like their
mhm,
souls, like they're however you want to look at it and how you perceive it. For me, it's just beautiful light out there.
mhm.
Misconception of a lot of people think that when we go, we're done. That's it. There's nothing else. There's
Right.
there's what there's a lot of people that have that faith or that understanding that once you die, you're gone.
Mhm,
That for me, in my experience, that's so not true. Um, I think the misconception really and truly is people just really think that if they didn't have closure, that they think that they're not going to be forgiven or they don't forgive. And in my experience, that's so not true.
mm,
Once they get over there, it doesn't matter how they ended here,
mhm,
whether it was a tragedy and an accident, whether it was a disease in their body, however it happened. Um, there is so much love for their family here. And I have to say, sometimes I tell my clients, well, do you really think that maybe you didn't get there or you weren't there on time because they wanted to leave before you got there?
yeah.
Maybe they made that decision to say, I don't want you to see me this way. I
Mhm,
need to go on my own.
right.
Um, and a lot of people think, well, they died alone or they left this world alone. So shame on me. I should have been there. That's not true. They have to really let that go because, um, no matter their personality here, their
Mhm,
traits, their
mhm,
choices, whether they were sisters. And I was like, gosh, it would really be nice if I'd hear from Angie. I would love it. Well, I was in a shoe store and the song Angie came on. I'm like,
mm,
are you kidding me right now?
Right.
People say, well, that's a coincidence. It was just a song that came on. They had rock and roll on. Well, no, for me, I trust that
Hmm.
she was telling me she's okay.
Yeah.
She's okay.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's it's it's not it's just they have a broader perspective in that space
Yes,
than what they
they do.
had contained in this body. That was my experience with my NDE. There was no aloneness because we were all
No,
connected. So the idea of being alone there, you're not alone. You're never alone. And we're not alone here. And
no.
we're all one. And yeah, you certainly, at least I had, during my brief time out of body, definitely had that experience of just like there is no loneliness, there's no sadness here, and I do understand things now that I did not quite grasp, on in the material world, and it's an amazing thing.
I would say that if you've ever experienced the most calming, peaceful love in your life, and you're
Mm-hmm.
in that moment of that energy, what I've had experience with angels,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, this is amazing. You
Yes.
you want to keep it. You want to hold it. You don't want to let it go.
Yes.
And I hope that everybody can experience that at least once in their life while they're here, because when you know that their loved ones are around, and when you pray and you just know that miracles can happen for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think it's amazing. I just think it's the most amazing experience if you can have that.
Yeah, I think it changes you forever.
Oh, totally.
I mean, you're not the same person after an
No,
experience like that, for sure.
you're probably having some physical difficulties as you went through. Your physical body's having some major changes.
Hmm.
Um, and then now we're going to give you the soul experience so you can understand that we want you here.
Yes.
We love you.
Yeah.
You're going through this for a reason. We don't know why.
Hmm.
Um, and the biggest conception too that I got really truly in the beginning was everybody blames God for everything when something bad happens. And
Mm,
we are humans, and we humans totally make things happen.
we do. Yeah. We
We
make
need to
choices.
back up a little bit. We make choices that cause
Yeah.
things to happen.
Yes.
Um, so we can't go blaming the universe and other things for that. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. And that's
Yes.
the biggest thing. People want change, but they're not willing to change and make choices sometimes. And you go through growing pains. I always tell people it's a roller coaster of emotions and what you go through. And then once you figure out where it is you want to be, it's amazing when you go through that experience and try to make the choices that's best for you. Not for
Yes.
me, for you. I
For
always tell my
you.
client, this is not for me, this is for you.
Right.
What do you want to do? I can guide you, but I am not going to tell you what to do. I
No.
won't do that. It's not my place to do that.
Well, I don't feel like any of us came here to have someone else's experience. You know,
No,
I mean, we came here to have our experience, the one that we chose to have. That's my belief. And
absolutely.
and we have to take responsibility in that and be empowered to move in that direction. And it's really helpful to have somebody like yourself, be there to encourage someone. But the bottom line is that they're going to have to be the one to make those moves, whatever that is.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And women, we've all gone through some really horrific things in our lives. And I
Yes.
always say, for me, is do I want to be wounded or do I want to be wise?
Right.
Do I want to grow from that? Do I want to keep that in me? No, it happened. It's
Hmm.
there. It may
Hmm.
be who I am today. So now I want to be a little bit wiser with it and
Hmm.
let it go. So,
Yeah.
um,
See you next time.
You've been listening to the House of Light presents the Wisdom Cafe on 99.1 FM WQEE. The House of Light, a wellness center at 29 Jackson Street here in Newnan, is a place for people to relax and find true healing. For additional information, 407-414-6711. Remember to tune in next week for another healing message from the House of Light presents the Wisdom Cafe right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.